Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, people. You are back again with Talk Football. I am your host, Mr. Anthony CFC, and we have a lot to talk about today because yesterday uh, we all thought that the director of football for Chelsea was done. Uh, However, this morning I woke up and it was not done. So it's the harsh reality of things and what Chelsea has gone through this season. Like from the start itself, since June when we started looking at players, there was a lot of rejection. There was a lot of talk that the way we were going about things were wrong. However, in this situation, I believe uh, Freund wasn't our Freund. I know it's a bit cheesy to say that, but I believe Freund wasn't our Freund in this situation. I think RB didn't want to actually let him go. Um, he was a major part of their setup. He also signed a 4-year contract, and I believe also the situation did not actually suit both parties at the end of the day when they were trying to get him out of the city, out of Salzburg. Maybe what you call the period where he was not supposed to be working for Chelsea was too long. Only time will tell with everything that might be coming out with regards to what happened during this situation. And the other thing was what they were saying that Chelsea were absolutely shocked by the decision made by Christoph Freund and RB Salzburg to not let him go. As a Chelsea fan, I am not shocked because if there is something we've learned this season is we have been rejected so many times. It doesn't mean that it's not a bad thing to it's not a bad thing that you're getting rejected. At least he's trying to do the right thing. You know what he's trying to do, and it's just he's being too straightforward or too, how would I say it, too early with his announcement. But yeah, before we go on further, let's see what our people have to say. Ah, yes, as Twisted says, smash a like, please, as always. Yes. Do you think Poli is being too public? I think he is telling the the this journalist too quickly, without getting a proper how would I say it, without getting a proper answer about all of this. I think he is actually letting these people know too quickly, in my opinion. However, in saying that, it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. However, Freund would have been a perfect candidate for us according to Todd Boehly. And since I did some research on him as well, I believed he would have been a very very good candidate as well. However, he is not the only person that we have in the books. Apparently, Chelsea has over or close to about three more people in the list. We don't know what the list has entail. However, there is one name that comes up most of the time that talking about this guy might be the one, but we will go on to it next. There is a fair few things that we have to discuss today. It's not going to be a very long stream, maybe like a 20 to 30 minute stream where we are discussing a little bit about all these things. So yes, the first thing that we will definitely discuss is the DOF situation. Who is more likely now, who might be on the list, and also who would be my preference if that makes any difference. And Jackie Boy not wanting to be at Manchester City. Certainly strange, certainly strange. But yeah, moving on. I I believe the director of football role, I Todd Boehly, that is looking to fulfill this role, right? He wants to fulfill this role before the end of October. This is just hypothetical. This is just my opinion. You guys can form your own opinion. Ask me any questions that you like. Uh, Nobody wants to feel a second choice, but this is the world of football, Twisted. I don't think being the second choice really matters in this situation. As long as you're getting paid, I think that's what's most important. And also, you're getting what you deserve in order to get through get through in what you want to do and achieve what you want to achieve from this project. So in my opinion, what he I build this is what I think, this is my opinion, there is nothing written anywhere. He wants to get somebody in by before the end of October, right? So this will allow the director of football in Chelsea for, let's say, October means it's the 10th month. He'll get to assess the club for November and also December, right? That gives him 2 months to assess the squad, work with Graham Potter, understand what he wants to do, check which players needs to go out of the club. I believe there is a few more players that you need to be replacing as well, and that's the most and that needs to be addressed as well, and that would be the DOF's first priority. Then during this period, a World Cup will be played, and this is where the most pivotal transfer window will happen. Generally, this transfer window happens in the summer, which will allow people to do things. But we don't have that much of time. So the DOF coming in will be so pivotal because there will be players who will be performing in this World Cup. There will be players who will be absolutely fantastic for what we are trying to build. Hence why having this DOF in October, maybe by the end of October, will help us go to this January transfer window. This January transfer window, which is so important for us, will be very, very helpful. So that's the most important thing that we need to understand here. And having that director of football before October or by the end of October will help him gauge and move forward towards that January transfer window. Does the DOF have a large transfer budget? So this was what was promised to Christoph Freund, a 300 million transfer budget over the next two windows. I mean, that would be pretty good, isn't it? After spending 300 million last summer. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, see, I thought Roman was dead. This guy is just Roman incarnated, but with a brain, like without having his mates in the club. This guy is actually putting football people in their places. Hence why I have a lot of patience for this guy. I don't know what, like, a lot of people don't seem to like, I don't know, like him, or I don't know what it is. I absolutely love Todd. The way he's going about things, he might be a bit brash, he might be a bit out there, he might be loud. But who cares? If he's getting the job done, that's the most important thing. You need to get the job done no matter what. So for me, that's the most important thing. Effectiveness is much better than hiding behind trees or hiding behind other things and trying to get stuff done. No. If you want to get it done, get it done. If you want to be loud about it, be loud about it. No problem. Just get it done. So the first thing that we are going to check out is the the candidate that is actually out there with regards to uh, oh, have I disappeared? But yeah, the candidate that is out there with regards to uh, in most of the people's minds. So yeah, let's get on to that. Paul Mitchell. That's the candidate that has been touted right about now. That Paul Mitchell might be the guy who Chelsea are looking at this moment in time. Paul Mitchell also wanted, he was also very, very interested about this job, and there were multiple reports saying that he would be the choice after Christoph Freund if something was supposed to fall through. So now that Christoph Freund is fallen through, Paul Mitchell, I believe he might be the front runner because that's just how things work, I guess. But for people who don't know about Paul Mitchell, let's get into it a little bit more. Before that, let's check on Twisted's comment. What impact will the director of football have on Potter's authority? So those two will work together because Potter already has his own transfer guy. So that's where the connection comes in between, where they will work together in order to achieve a common goal. So that's where it's so important to have a director of football who will do the hard yards, who will go and look at these players, who will analyze these things, work with the manager to get what he needs so that the club achieves a common goal. So yeah, let's check who Paul Mitchell is. So Paul Mitchell, Chelsea's owners have a number of decisions. I'm reading through one of the articles in Football London. Chelsea's new owners have a number of decisions to make regarding the hierarchy at Stamford Bridge. As it stands, you know, Christoph Freund is no longer interested in the job, and the guy that might be looking at would be Paul Mitchell. So, if any of you guys didn't know, Paul Mitchell is actually he actually used to be a scout for Tottenham Hotspur. Um, and now he's currently employed by League One side Monaco as their sporting director. And he used to work hand in hand with Ralph Ragnick. So um, he was the guy who actually identified Dele Alli, Toby Alderweireld, Song Hyun-min, Kieran Trippier while he was at Spurs. And he also worked together with Maurizio Pochettino while when they were very successful in their side of things. And also it was known that he was also being touted around for the Manchester United job. And Manchester United actually appointed Ralph Ragnick. um However, in saying that, he and Ralph Ragnick work together hand in hand to develop this RB Leipzig model that is out there right now. And one thing we know for a fact is that Todd really likes this RB model. So, I mean, it seems to be like a great opportunity, isn't it? So that's what I'm trying to say. Like at the end of the day, for him, even let's say even if Ralph Ragnick or even if Paul Mitchell, Christoph Freund, there is a pattern to it. So for me, Paul Mitchell would be also a very, very good candidate in order to take over from Mr. Christoph Freund. Now let's look at my how would I say it? This is who I want. In reality, this is who I really want. Let's see. Mr. Ralph Ragnick. This is who I really want. Ralph is the godfather of football. He is so good at his job. I can't say how good he is about his job. For me, I believe he would be the ideal person to develop this. But we one thing we all know is Todd Boehly is heavily opinionated. Ralph Ragnick is also heavily opinionated. Whether the ego clash would be too big, I don't know. But I believe for me, Ralph would be immensely great at this job. I don't know how much of power Ralph would require with regards to this. I think we were willing to give a considerable amount of power to Freund, and I think Ralph would be happy with it. And plus, working with managers like Graham Potter for Ralph would be wonderful. He is able to bring in his own type of players from that little black book. I mean, I think this is a tailor-made situation. I This is the other problem. I do not know, or there is nothing reported whether Ralph is even being considered for the role. See, before Chelsea went on to Thomas Tuchel, Ralph was considered for the role, and Ralph wanted to be the director of football at Chelsea. I mean, come on, dude. This is the best appointment. This is definitely the best appointment we can have. It has to be Ralph. In my opinion, it has to be Ralph. But yeah, before going on further about Ralph and my admiration of Ralph, let's look at the comments. Does Paul Mitchell have his own staff? I believe so. I believe they would bring in someone like from the scouting department and their data analysts and stuff like that. I think that's something that they will do. A DOF will allow Potter to concentrate on managing the squad, and when he wants a particular target, the DOF will be charged of getting the target that Potter wants. Absolutely right, Phil. Absolutely right. And also, even if he is not able to get that player, he might be able to get the next best thing, or also identify what is the next best thing and let us know. Because if you look at the summer, and this is where I believe Ralph would be perfect for us. Just look at the summer. Chukwameka, Cassidy, that Gabriel Solina, and another youngster. That's what Ralph does. That's Ralph's black book. He has many players like that. And that's what we are trying to do. It, it, I don't understand. I hope Chelsea gets Ralph Ragnick, or even considers Ralph. He might be a fiery character, but dude, Ralph is so good at his job. It's it's incredible. It is incredible to see. For me, Ralph needs to be part of this role. That's just how I see it. That's just absolutely how I see it. But at the end of the day, we don't. I trust Todd Boehly to make the correct decision. I really do trust him to make the right decision when it comes to all of these things, because I think he is a very, very knowledgeable man. I believe he has run businesses the way it is supposed to be run. And I know that, he wants the best for his investment. But yeah, um, coming back onto the comments, to clarify, who will be scouting players for Chelsea? So that would be part of the director of football's role. So the scouting department and the data analysts and all these will be under the director of football. But the manager always, as I say, like, managers can come up to the director of football and say that this guy looks good. I mean, because that's why Graham Potter has his own scout or his own transfer type person as well, where he would also look into these things and work with the director of football, so that Graham will say, yep, this all looks good, could you work it out with him, you know so he doesn't have to spend time. And that's where it went wrong for Thomas Tuchel, and this is where we want to head, and that's why Thomas Tuchel didn't work. I can't be more clear than that, to be honest, because I hope you understand, but this is the direction we want to go in, and this is what we want to do. So let's go on to the next big talking point. It is quite a big talking point. Oh, Jackie boy. So, apparently, Jackie boy doesn't want to be at Manchester City anymore. Surprise, surprise. I mean, let's be honest, it really hasn't worked, isn't it? It really hasn't worked that much. For me, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Jack Grealish is a maverick. To play in Manchester City, you need to be Iceman. I hope anybody who is watching is a Top Gun fan and gets that reference. Iceman works fine. They already got an Iceman. Erling Haaland works fine. Mavericks do not work. Mavericks do not work in Manchester City. You know where Mavericks would work? Chelsea or Arsenal. But I think he would work better at Chelsea. But if it compromises Sterling, I wouldn't want him. If both of them can play together, absolutely, I'll have Jack Grealish over anybody, anytime. Can you imagine Jackie Boy, Sterling, and Kai Havertz behind the striker, whether it's Armando Broja or whether it's Aubameyang? You also can look at it: Jack Grealish, Odegaard, or Saka, or Martinelli. Wonderful, isn't it? For Gabby Jesus providing what they need. Jackie needs to do what's best for Jackie because Jackie Boy can't you can't cage Jackie Boy. However, in saying all of that, Fabrizio Romano has come out and said, um, yeah, Jack Grealish is focused on his career at Manchester City. What do you expect? Of course, he's gonna say that. Anybody would say that. And that's what it is. You don't want to piss off Pep and not play for the rest of the season because he is more than willing to do that. And in my humble opinion, Jack needs to leave Manchester City because I don't think Manchester City suits Jack. It's nothing to do with Jack being a bad player. It's nothing to do with Manchester City not wanting to accommodate Jack Grealish. It, it's just that he is not a City player. Let's go back to the comments. Jackie to Arsenal 50 million in the summer? I mean, looking very, very likely to be honest. Maybe even in January. You never know. I mean, to be fair, I would love him at Chelsea. He would be wonderful at Chelsea, and I think Graham Potter would be very, very good with Chelsea. If Manchester City would allow Grealish to go, they can afford to write off 50 million, unlike most other clubs. 100%. If there was a club out there that can write off 50 million, that would be Manchester City. However, in saying that, it is still 7 games in the Premier League. There is another 31 odd games to go. You never know. Jack might come back and be like, take the Premier League by storm. You never know these things. Who knows if he starts playing well and starts assisting Erling Haaland, because that guy seems to be on track to score 60 odd goals for the Premier League. It's just incredible. But in all honesty, a lot of people who wrote off Erling Haaland thought that Erling Haaland is going to go through the same thing that Jack Grealish went through, which entail is, I mean, highly, 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 highly unlikely because of who Erling Haaland is. But at the end of the day, Jack is his own player in his own right, and he has proved that he is very, very good at he was very, very good at Aston Villa. And this is the problem when you play in a low block type team who plays against these big teams. But I believe if Jack goes to a team like an Arsenal, to a United, or to a Chelsea, he would do really well. Or this might be an outside shout, even a Tottenham. He would be fantastic in that Conte team. Unfortunately, Antonio Conte won't be there. He'll leave. He'll leave you know as soon as everything falls apart. He'll leave. And yeah, but at the end of the day, let me know on the comments down below, where would you like to see Jack Grealish? Where would you like to see Jack Grealish in in the summer? Whether you like to see him at City or go to a club that actually allows him to play football, express himself. That's the person Jack Grealish is. I read an article about him as to all these things. This was from Mark white. Let's dive into it a little bit. Man City's record signing Jack Grealish has told those close to him that he is looking to leave the club next summer. That's according to a surprising report that states that the most expensive English player of all time will only look to spend 2 seasons at the Etihad Stadium. Grealish cost Man City 100 million. That was actually a release clause. Uh, with Grealish still not certainty to start for England and some questioning how the number 10 can adapt to a more restrictive system under Guardiola, news of the 27-year-old looking to move is hardly a shock but could create an interesting saga over the year. And this is what I feel like as well. I think it will be so interesting that how many clubs will actually go for Jack Grealish, because I I don't think he's a bad player. It's just that he didn't suit City. So his value hasn't actually devalued as a player. So maybe, you know, a club that is buying him might pay 50, 60, or 70 million. But who knows? Who knows? Could he return to Villa? I don't think Villa would pay that much for Jack Grealish. For me, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I actually wanted to speak about it because Manchester City is such a winning club. Nobody actually talks about these types of things. So I thought I will talk about it and see what you guys think and hear. But yeah, this all we have for you today, folks. As always, we are still testing out our new software and hope we have bought a much more quality and a much more better stream for you guys moving forward. Uh, but yeah, in saying that, thank you all for joining us today from Talk Football. It has been a wonderful, uh, information packed stream for you guys. Just before we go, let's run through the comments. Uh, no way would Haaland go through what Grealish did in his first season, but Haaland is doing better against EPL defenders than I thought he would, but I knew he would be successful. I hoped Haaland wouldn't. To be fair, we have a resident Manchester United fan in Josh who didn't think so as well, but he's a champ about it and he takes it as it is. But thank you all for joining. Everybody else who will be watching this on the playback, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps us all in order to grow and create much more better quality streams as well for you guys. So thank you and join us this Friday. We will be talking about the England squad and how interesting that might be. Hope to see you guys there. Thank you. Good.